Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hoopy 186 back again with another video. I did make a kind of like a live reaction video on Twitter. I was talking about this news. So if you've seen that, if you've seen that, I probably I'm gonna repeat a lot of the stuff that I said there, plus some other stuff too. Because this video is pretty much just talking about MLB, and then the larger scale thing when it comes to what does this mean for PlayStation, right? Because I see several people who are PlayStation guys flipping out about this, and this and plus other stuff too. So I wanted to discuss this as someone who I would say is probably part of the PlayStation community, someone who's been playing MLB The Show since '06. So, I have a lot, and, I've logged so many hours into the game. I feel like my opinion on this should matter, right? It doesn't mean that you have to agree with everything I have to say with this, but at least you have to understand where I'm coming from. So, alright, so, obviously, if you haven't heard, MLB, Sony, San Diego Studios, they've all come to an agreement on a new contract extension, and what this includes is now it now includes them making games for other platforms, so namely Xbox, Nintendo, and PC, more than likely, and whatever else, maybe Stadia as well, maybe included in this. So my thing is this: ultimately, I understand. And I've said this many times before. I do value exclusivity, right? Like, I understand the idea behind exclusives. I'm not like some of these weirdo PC gamers and Xbox gamers who think that exclusives are bad. All of a sudden now it's bad when you have one platform who has tons of exclusives, but it's like, let's be real, like, no, there's not. I don't want to disparage PC gaming, but most of their exclusives are not. I guess don't get the same high profile hype that a console exclusive would get. I think that's pretty safe to say. Even though they might sell more in some cases and maybe better, they don't get the same amount of hype, right? I think that's safe to say. And Xbox dudes who outside of Halo, Gears, and Forza, it's been rough selling for Xbox gamers when it comes to exclusive this generation. I don't think I'm saying anything that's outside the realm of possibility. So coming from those two fan bases, I understand where that's coming from. I know where that's coming from, right? With that said, when it comes to MLB The Show, I don't have a major issue with what they're doing, and mainly. And I think the main reason why I don't have a problem with it is because I don't think that this was entirely Sony's decision. And you have to remember this is a license owned by MLB. Sony just doesn't have, or San Diego Studios, they don't have the right to just make a baseball game just like that, and that's it. What I mean? They don't have that luxury. They have to communicate with MLB when it comes to licensing, when it comes to naming rights and stuff like that. So, obviously, I think people need to realize what the situation is here, right? Now you have an organization in MLB, Major League Baseball, that currently has, when it comes to their franchises, when it comes to their how would I say this? When it comes to how they are represented when it comes to video games, right? Well, look at all the major sports. NBA, they got 2K. They used to have Live, but Live hasn't been very good. But at least they have 2K. When you talk about NBA video games, you talk about 2K. NFL, National Football League, they have Madden, right? They used to have 2K back in the day. Then NFL and EA, made a deal, made it exclusive. That was anti-consumer, and I've explained that, and I've explained that plenty of times. So I'm not going to try to decipher the difference. There's a video on it that I made on it Y'all, and even when you think about it, you know the difference. So they have Madden, right? NHL, they have NHL. What name? Like I have NHL 18. Not a bad game. No, not was it 18? Did I have? Which one did I have? Let me see. Hold on. Give me 1 second. 19. I have NHL 19. Right? Not a bad game, but not a game that was good enough for me to continue playing 20 NHL 20, which is out. But like you said, when you think about NHL video games, you think about NHL 20, right? You look at FIFA. I mean, technically, when it comes to the football, to the football organization, which is technically soccer, they have one. It's FIFA 19, FIFA 20, whatever you want to call it. They have another one in PES, and PES, they do get some licensing, but but when you talk about soccer, when you can talk about football, when you talk about that sport, they have their video game representation, which is FIFA. And when it comes to baseball, you have MLB The Show. Technically, you have MLB The Show. At least that's the one that everyone's going to concentrate on. The problem is that of all those franchises that I named, of all those games that I named, only one game is technically exclusive to a brand, and that's MLB with PlayStation, right? And you can't tell me, and I know Colin, and I'm glad Colin Moore already brought this up, 'cause I would not have thought about this without his help. But when you think about it, it makes sense. You don't think MLB realizes that their game technically is being hamstrung to one platform? They realize that, and so if you're going to renew the license, if you're going to renew the license with Sony and MLB, technically, what are you going to want from them? You're going to want them, if they wanted to keep it, you're going to want them to create games to a wider audience. It's obvious, man. Like it's not like I'll talk about some of the other stuff when it comes to PlayStation on a later date, but I don't think it's like Sony changing their minds or being influenced or anything like that. Well, the only influence is with MLB, and I truly do believe that. And in the grand scheme of things, who are Sony going to try to be beholden to? Like a group of angry fanboys, or MLB? Like the answer is pretty clear. The answer is clear. So you look at MLB, the Major League Baseball. Their representation for their game technically is RBI Baseball. Is RBI Baseball when that series got revived, right? It has all the player names, it has all the licensing stuff and everything like that. And that game is garbage. It's a low budgeted dog shit game. So obviously they were looking to really expand on that, so that they can have their baseball game that is on the same level quality wise with 2K and Madden and FIFA and all that other stuff, right? Even if you don't like those games, and trust me, there's some of those games I don't like, right? Like you have to understand that where they're coming from, where MLB is coming from, they have to have a game that is on everything, that is to the same quality that you have when it comes to basketball games, football games, all that stuff, right? And they didn't have that until this deal now. So again, I do value exclusivity. I understand why it's the case, but when you have a situation like this is pretty much what Sony had to do, right? And I know there's some people saying that Sony should just let the license go. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Like, they were making money off of MLB The Show on PS2 like five years ago. Because remember, it's I think one of the last games to come out on the PlayStation 2 was an MLB game. And they were still making money off of that game. So why would you like, realistically, why would you voluntarily lose out on a license like the MLB, right? Why would you voluntarily just let that go just because you don't want to sell it to more people? It just doesn't make any sense business wise. If you have the opportunity to if you're dealing with a situation where you have to pick the lesser of two evils, right? Which is start making MLB games for other platforms, or losing the license altogether. I think Sony made the right decision. And also, I think a lot of people don't take this into account. And I know Colin mentioned this. He was saying that a company like EA was sniffing around wanting to make an MLB game. And we know how EA is, and also you have to take into account MLB's mindset on this. We have no idea what could have happened if Sony said no. And as someone who's been a fan of MLB The Show since 06, the idea of potentially losing that franchise overall, let's say, and let me put this in a scenario for you guys, right? Let's say, for example, Sony says no, right? Let's say if all these other PlayStation dudes get their way, Sony decides, you know what, we're not making games for Switch or Xbox. MLB, you could take your license, go fuck yourself, right? They decide to give the full license and full permission to EA, right? And granted, listen, I think a lot of us, would like to see, MLB. I mean, we would like to see Triple Play come back. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Triple Play come back. I wouldn't mind seeing MLB 2K come back. I wouldn't mind seeing those franchises come back, but not at the expense of losing MLB The Show for good. And I think a lot of people don't take that into account, right? Especially when you consider the greed of these corporations. You have to remember, regardless of how you feel, these are still corporations, by the way. They're still corporations, and their goal is to make money. Everything that happened with NFL 2K and the demise of that franchise had everything to do with greed. And if you're MLB, you're MLB, you're trying to make waves when it comes to the youth, and considering that a lot of youth plays video games. Maybe not as much as they probably think in their heads, but kids do play video games. We figure, we want to make a baseball game. We'll put our full support, our full backing into it. Whatever licenses you need, we'll get it to you. What have you, right? And they said they're gonna give that to EA, effectively killing MLB The Show. I'm sorry, but I'm not down with that. I can't. In my heart, I can't. No, I can't have that, because that's, to me, MLB The Show, especially this generation, has been my favorite sports franchise. This generation, it's been the one that's been the most consistently good since it came out. Pretty much since MLB 14. You have PES has been up and down for me, more so up than down. You also have NBA 2K. Right now, that's on a downturn for me. I'm not supporting their bullshit business practices. And Madden's been down for me since 08. Like, I haven't really played a Madden game since 08. And I look at the game, I look at all the glitches the game has, and some of the lack of attention to detail that the game has, all mainly because they have no competition. And I'll discuss that a little bit later too, because they don't have no competition. So I don't want to see this franchise go away. And if it was a choice between EA owning the exclusive license to MLB, or Sony San Diego having to make games for the Switch and the Xbox, I'm gonna take them going multiplat every single time. Every single time. And I don't apologize for that. And the reason why is because at the end of the day, it don't matter if the game is exclusive or not. I'm going to play the game. Whether it's on PlayStation or anywhere else. More than likely gonna be on PlayStation, but anywhere else. I'm as long as the franchise exists, I'm good. I'm happy. And I'm glad that there's some people who own, Xboxes and Switches. They get to play MLB The Show. It's a great franchise. You know what I mean? I know there's some Xbox dudes who go overboard. Yeah, I get it. And I know a lot of the reaction has to do with the fact that Xbox dudes, they're celebrating now, they're pumping their chest, they're raising their fists and all that other stuff. I get it. I understand. You know what I mean? I'm not, I'm a PlayStation fan, but I'm not a fanboy. But I understand that. Like, 'cause we all know damn well that this would be a similar situation. It's probably worse if if Microsoft announced today that Halo was coming to PlayStation, right? Like, granted, it's already on PC, but they announced Halo Infinite on PlayStation. Ooh. Oh my God, Twitter's gonna die. Twitter that day is going to die. So we know all fan bases do shit like this. We get it. But to me, do I think that this is an isolated incident, or is this more things to come when it comes to Sony? I think, me personally, based on everything that we know and all the stuff that's going on, I do think that it's an isolated incident. I do think it's isolated. You know what I mean? Do I think that it's a sign of the future? I don't know. Like, I really don't know, because at the end of the day, we don't know what the hell is going on when it comes to these companies. We're not. All we can do is speculate. That's all we can do. All we can do is speculate, and you see a lot of that on Twitter. You see a lot of that on YouTube with these videos about next Xbox, 12 teraflops, super powerful bullshit, and all that other shit, right? We see it, but like I said, I can only talk about the now. And I can only talk about the upcoming future. And to me personally, like I said before, I would much rather them go multiplat than them losing the license altogether. Much rather them go multiplat. Because at the end of the day, I get to play the franchise that I love, which is MLB The Show. So, like I said, do I think this is a PlayStation, if this is a new directive for PlayStation? I don't know. I really don't know. And I've said in the past that if Sony decides to put their games on other platforms, all their games on other platforms, if they're doing what Microsoft is doing, then I'm not gonna have a huge problem with it. But I'm not gonna buy a PlayStation anymore. Why would I? I just go get a PC. Because you hear the thing, right? And I see Icy Rhythms say this, and I'm a big fan of Icy Rhythms. I don't agree with a lot of what he says, but I have a lot of respect for Icy. Dude's been at this YouTube thing for a long time, and I've watched his content for a long time. But he said that these consoles can be more than just a box, than just they can offer more than just exclusives. And to me, I don't agree with that at all. All these things are just boxes. What makes these boxes special is the exclusive game that they make on there. Now, again, I get it. Like, you got third-party games rule the day. I get it. I understand. I know. But, I'm not going to sit here. You can't sit here and pretend that games like, Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past, Sonic the Hedgehog, Mario 64, Final Fantasy 7, the original Final Fantasy 7. You could go Halo. You can't tell me that without those games, that these companies and these boxes that were playing these games are not elevated because of those exclusives. You're lying to yourselves if that's the case. And do I believe that it's a sign of the time that it's in the future everyone should be playing everything? No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. At the end of the day, what makes a box special is what it plays. It's not about what it looks like. It's not about the controller, even though I think the controller does matter to an extent. But I'll play great games on the back controller. I'll just find a controller that is more suited for my liking, or I can just get a converter box. I can have, there's workarounds around, back controllers, right? Like this whole people talk about ecosystems and shit like that. Yeah, it's all nice and cool, whatever. But ultimately, like, the thing that I care about the most is the library, is the games. And if I can play, and the reason why I play the vast majority of my games on PlayStation is because that's the platform that I like, because it has the best games, in my opinion, on there. Yes, can I play Grand Theft Auto on a Xbox One X and get a better performance? Yes. Can I play Grand Theft Auto and play it on a PC and get better performance? Yes. The reason why I play that fucking game on PlayStation is because I play most of my games on PlayStation. And most of the games that I like playing on there, I played on PlayStation. Right? Because why? Because I bought the box to play their exclusives and everything else. Now, if Sony is going in the direction that a lot of people fear they're going in, and they put their games on a PC, all their games on PC, day and day, whatever, then why do I need the PlayStation for? Again, this is not coming from hate. This is coming from this being realistic. If there's a box out there that will play those games better, right? And Sony allows those games to go on there that plays better than the box that they're making, then guess what? I'm going to buy the game on the box that performs the game the best, and that's on PC. Right? That's just a matter. That's just facts. Right now, that's just facts. If I can play, let's say tomorrow I can play Breath of the Wild on my PlayStation, right? I would do it, 100%. It's really the only mainline Nintendo game that I actually care about. But, like, yeah, I would play that game on a PlayStation if I could. But guess what? In order for me to play the game, I have to buy a Switch. And that's exactly what Nintendo's mindset is. And it's what the mindset of the gaming industry, and frankly, should be. It should be that way. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like this whole, like, bringing games to everything and kumbaya shit. Like, I don't really care about that, to be honest with you. Like, it's not something that I'm like, oh, well, everything should be on everything. I don't fucking believe that at all. Like, at the end of the day, and maybe it's just because I'm very old school in that way, but at the end of the day, like, I feel like exclusives should matter. I feel like it should matter, and I know it matters to all of you guys. Don't tell me that it's only PlayStation guys that care about this shit. All you guys do, because you guys wouldn't be gaming on the platforms you're on now if it wasn't for exclusives. Let's be real about this. All those dudes who talk up, exclusives anti-consumer, this and that, and all that other bullshit. Well, a lot of you guys went very quiet with that Xbox XO18 when they showed a bunch of timed exclusives on there. None of you guys said shit. None of you guys said shit. I don't see PC gamers, throwing petitions saying that, oh, this so and so PC game should be on console. You know what I'm saying? Like, so spare me the bullshit on, exclusives or anti-consumer, because it's not true. It's not true at all. The reason why I don't look at it in this situation is because I'm looking at MLB situation with MLB baseball, and I get it. I understand. And at the end of the day, like I said, if it was the option between having MLB The Show go multiplat or the game, disappearing forever, or at least, or in this case, and then I'll try to wrap things up after this, but or take example, Pro Evolution Soccer 2020 or any other Pro Evolution Soccer game, right? You guys know, if you've been on my channel, you know that I'm a big fan of Pro Evolution Soccer, right? It's my favorite. It's my favorite game in the series. It's my favorite soccer game. Period. Oh, much better than FIFA in my opinion. Now, they're both soccer games, right? So people are like, well, what's the big difference? They're both soccer games. Like you pretty much, get the same thing regardless, right? No, not true at all. Not true at all. Because of competition, both companies have to they have to kind of try to one up each other when it comes to licenses, gaining licenses. Because remember, you're not just talking about one league here. You're talking about leagues all over the world, like the English Premier League. You're talking about La Liga in Spain. You're talking about the Bundesliga in Germany. So on and so forth. You have to communicate with all these organizations, all these leagues, right? And unfortunately for PES and for Konami, EA has the upper hand in that category because they have more money. So let's take this scenario, right? You have MLB The Show. Let's say if they continue with MLB The Show, but they have no way of getting the licenses of the MLB period. So you don't get no real life stadium, no real life players, etc. Right? And EA goes and gets all that. You think people are going to be okay with that? You think people are going to play that, even if MLB is the better game? You think people are going to be okay with playing a baseball game, a vastly superior baseball game with no licenses? Come on, man! I've seen this story already. I lived that story with PES. Now, granted, they have licenses. PES has some exclusive licenses as well. But at the end of the day, it is dwarfed by FIFA and the money that they make. You know what I mean? And again, I always see, and whenever I do all these, editing and because in PES you can I don't want to say mod, but I can insert like the real life teams in the game, right? There's a big community of it online. If you're interested, look it up. Well, you can insert you can insert jerseys or kits as they call it. You can insert those into the game so that you can make the teams that are not licensed and make them look like they were licensed, right? And even with all that, there's still people who are stunned and shocked by this, right? They're stunned and shocked that they can do this, but even still, it still doesn't fully replace having the real life teams and real life licenses, right? There's only so much you can do when it comes to editing. There's only so, and at least especially in the PC market, full on modding, because they can add stadiums and shit like that. It's hard to replace it. It's very hard to replace it, and it's very hard for a company for any game to just be able to go on, especially if you're a simulator, if you're a sim type of game. It's very hard to have that, to try to recreate that sim-like experience without the licenses to go along with that. So again, I'm thinking about this the totality. I don't know if that's a word or not. I'm looking at this as a whole, and I'm looking at this as pretty much they did what they had to do to save the franchise. And I truly do believe that. I don't know if Sony was voluntarily decided to do this. I don't know. I don't know if they voluntarily decided to do this, right? It could be, MLB might have hamstrung them, might have, forced their hand. Regardless of the reason, at the very least, the franchise survives. And that's all I care about at the end of the day. That's all I care about. Like I said, I am someone who values exclusivity. Right, I do value exclusivity. I don't know if this is the beginning of the end for PlayStation and all the other stuff that people have been talking about. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Hoovy186. For some reason the audio got
clipped out. The rest of the audio that I had got clipped out. So I'm going to finish my statement pretty much saying this. I understand if people are worried that Sony's gonna take the same route that Microsoft does. You know, because if you look at Microsoft and you don't like what they're doing, and then you think that Sony's doing the same thing, you know, you have every right to not to feel like you have every right to say that you don't feel like Sony should go in that direction. I totally get it, but ultimately, I do think this case with MLB The Show is isolated. I don't think it's the end of the world. Like I said, I don't know what the future holds for Sony, and to me, like I said, if you make great games, I'm gonna stick with the I'm gonna stick with the I'm gonna stick with the system. You know, and if those games stay exclusive, if the vast majority of them stay exclusive, I'll stick with the platform. It's not a hate thing. It's a if I'm going to buy a machine that if I'm going to buy a gaming machine, I'm going to buy a gaming machine that has the best games on it. And if all those best games are played somewhere else, where the performance is going to be better or whatnot, then yeah, I'm going to go there. You know what I mean? It's not a knock on PlayStation or nothing like that. I'm just being real. I'm just being real. You know, because at the end of the day, if we're all gamers here, you want to play the games at the best of its abilities. So yeah, so more than likely I would go to PC. But if that's not the case, then I will do what I've always done. I'll buy games on PlayStation. I'll buy the PlayStation. If the Xbox is appealing next generation, I'll buy a PlayStation. If Nintendo makes something I like, I'll buy Nintendo. Like at the end of the day, I'm willing to spend money for quality products. I don't like that's not a problem for me. I know there's other people. I know there's a lot of Xbox and PC guys who sit there and say that they want all their shit on one machine. That's fine if that's what you want. And in an ideal world, I guess that's what people would want. But at the end of the day, I don't mind buying quality. Like not that's not a problem for me. I don't mind buying quality products and stuff like that. And I don't have a problem making room for those quality products. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much all I gotta say. Thank you guys for watching. I know it's a long ass video. And to address the gameplay, I could have sworn I had MLB The Show 19 gameplay, but this is actually MLB 18. Great game regardless. So anyway, this is Who We 186. I'm out. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.